Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Hear Me Out. Today, we have a very exciting topic, a little look into our past, our childhoods, and current dreams. So today's topic is on dreams, and I want to ask you kind of like what your childhood dreams were, and then what did it transition to? Have you had the same dream since you were 5? And then what are your current dreams for sure?
Okay. I think when I was a child, I wanted to be a doctor.
A doctor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to save lives.
Very appropriate.
But I think it was my sophomore year in high school, and I donated blood. No.
Wait, hold on. Pause. From childhood to sophomore year of high school, that was your consistent dream?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But I think in sophomore year, we dissected a frog, and I got very squeamish. Oh my God, it was disgusting. And I thought, what kind of doctor do I want to be? You know, at that point I started thinking, because up to that point it was just, I want to be a doctor. I want to save lives. Then we dissected the frog, and I'm thinking, maybe it's not a good idea for me to be like with parts and things, you know, in there. So I thought, maybe just like a nurse, maybe something where I just do, you know, maybe, what are those called? Those doctors that just see you, but then send you to like a specialist, just like a general doctor. There you go.
Okay.
General doctor. I don't know, you know, silly me, that wouldn't be as complicated. But then I think you fast forward to junior year, I believe, my first time donating blood, I fainted. And that's when I realized I don't like the smell of blood. I get very...
really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
To this day, because you're an avid donor.
Yeah, I am. I donate blood pretty often, but I always make sure that I go in. Well, that day I didn't eat breakfast, so I think that's why it also affected me. But till this day I don't particularly enjoy, you know, whenever I go and donate blood. I don't enjoy the smell. I don't enjoy the sensation of having it there for like 30 minutes. But in a way, it's my way of feeling like, I'm saving lives, you know, because I think that was the whole purpose of me wanting to be a doctor. I wanted to save lives. And so donating blood, it makes me feel like I am.
You get to feel that.
Yeah. So after that, that's when I realized, no, being a doctor is not for me. I can't do that. And I think I got more informed about it. And I thought even as being a general doctor, it wouldn't work out that easily. So I think after that, I took a psychology class, and then I thought, okay, I'm going to be a psychologist. That's more like it. Yeah. And the mind, and, you know, on a personal level.
Yeah.
But then my professor, the teacher for the psychology class, he told a very discouraging story. And I thought, maybe I'm not cut out for that.
Discouraging how, if you don't mind sharing?
No. I don't know for the people out there, but he talked to us about how he on his last year of his master's or PhD for his psychiatrist PhD, he had to go to juvenile to the juvie, and he had to counsel, work with them. And these kids were sexual offenders. And he said that at the beginning, it was hard, you know, because every morning you have to sit there and listen to what they did to people, you know, listen how they sexually hurt someone, yeah. You know, and it was just like elderly kids, women, boys, babies. It was bad. So... And he's there trying to help them, you know, and he's telling us like it was very hard. It was very, very difficult to go in there. I think he would go in there twice a week, not every day. It was twice a week. But it was the same thing at the beginning. They would sit in a circle, and everyone would tell, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I did this to this, or I did this to that, or whatever. So you hear that and I think his service was supposed to be for like 6 months or so.
Okay.
And so for 6 months, twice a week, it was hard. He's like, it was just hard. And then on top of that, I was already doing my work to just, for my PhD. So it was just a lot. It was a lot to take in. And I didn't think he's telling us, I didn't think I was prepared for what was coming. So one time, and then I think he was having a hard time with, how am I supposed to feel compassion for this person, to help them heal from that, to help them, to treat them, to not think as a sexual offender, so I'm what, 17, 16 when he's telling us this, and I'm thinking, oh my God. And just when you think, this is the worst situation for this professor, it got worse. So he told us that one day there's a new recruit coming, or not recruit, but
like a new first client.
A new, young, and these are all young men, like they're in juvie, and they've done heinous things. And so there's this new one, and at the same time, around the same time that this guy came in, his brother had his brother's wife have given birth to a little girl, to a baby girl. And so this guy comes in, and he's new, and so he needs to go through the whole thing. He sits, and I mean, by this time, this guy already knows what, this professor already knows what everyone had done. So it wasn't news to him, but this guy was news to him. So he's new. I think he said he was around 18, this kid. And he starts telling them, him, how he raped a little baby. He lost it. My professor lost it. The whole time he's telling us this, the whole time he's thinking he raped my niece, my baby niece, and he lost it. He punched him.
Whoa!
Like he was, and not only did he punch him, but he starts telling everyone, "You're all like this and that, and you're never going to get better. And I hope you end up in hell." And he really lost it, and. And he's telling all of them, like, you are this for having done that. And, the other guy's on the floor, like, bleeding and everything. So, of course, because of that, he couldn't do his PhD.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't do his PhD. Yeah, he lost however many years worth of work. He mastered out. But even that, like, I feel like that stayed as a stain in his record, because he could only teach high school level. He couldn't teach,
not even university,
college at least, And with your master's, you could teach college, but I think it stayed like a record because his supervisor told him, I get that
what they did.
It touched home, and what they've done is wrong, but you really crossed the line. He said, not even when you hit that guy. He said, you really crossed that line when you started telling them you're not going to get better. You deserve being here. You are the scum of earth. Like you are going to hell, blah, 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 blah. Because his supervisor's telling him, you are there to help these people. You are there to let them know they're sick. And because they're sick, they can get treated and they can get better. You are there to show compassion, and you showed the opposite. And so, and obviously, his supervisor told him, you're not ready for this. You're not ready for this. The world is much worse. And you're not ready. And so I think what happened is that the supervisor wrote it sort of like a note to the higher ups or whatever. And I believe even though he mastered out, that stayed on his record, kind of like,
right,
he can't handle,
can't have his license,
the real thing or whatever, the real world. So he's telling us this, and I'm thinking, oh no, I'm not sure I want to do that. Sorry, I have candy. And so after that,
that's for sure gonna stay with you. Like, I can't even imagine.
I mean,
oh my gosh.
I mean, you're talking about 14 years ago, 13 years ago, and that's a fresh story in my head. I never let it. I couldn't let it go because it was so impactful. Because you're talking about this guy that I'm not saying his whole life was ruined because of that, but years worth of studying and really, you know, and really like
devoting
himself
career
to his career for it to end in like seconds, you know. And
but I think that it also gives you a certain level of respect for therapists and psychiatrists because yeah, you know, as I'm listening to this story as a listener, as a viewer, you know, you're thinking like, I think I would have felt the exact same way. I think I would have had the same rage. I would have had the same lack of compassion. Because we can all agree that that is heinous.
Yeah.
But then on the other side of it, it's true. You know, these are professionals. These are supposed to be people that are out to help. And and then that just tells you how like much control you have to have as a professional to not let your emotions get the best of you and to really help someone. I feel like all psychiatrists need psychiatrists. Like,
oh yeah,
how do you not take that home? How do you not let that affect your days? Like,
and then the interesting part is that I would think, okay, if you can show compassion, the least you can do is be objective, right? Not have an opinion out of anything. But if you have one bit of humanity, you will have, you know, an opinion.
Yeah,
you can be objective when you hear what they're kids doing horrible things to other people,
let alone adults,
you know? Or sometimes he didn't go into detail about like the attitudes of these guys, but I mean, we've all seen at least once or twice you know, serial killer documentaries or psychopath documentaries or whatever, and there are some that are very like nonchalant about it. You're like, I don't care, I did what I did and I would do it again, or you know, or they're even happy about it. And it's just, you know, as a psychiatrist or a counselor or whatever, how do you even deal with that? And so that's what I started thinking. Okay. Oh, you know, maybe this isn't for me. But then I thought maybe I could be a teacher. You know, like I really liked psychology. I really enjoyed it. And I thought, because it was just about the mind and why we do the things we do and whatever. So up to my second year in college, I was still set. No, my first year in college, I was still set on psychology. I'll be a teacher or whatever. But then I thought maybe... Then I think I took a class, Introduction to Sociology, and I really liked it. I thought it was sort of like a connection between psychology and people. And I thought, oh, okay, sociology is more about, while psychology is more about you as a person, why you do the things that you do and your mind and everything. Right. Sociology is more about why society the way that it is. Why is society...
Oh, I've never known the difference. I'll be honest. I went to college, but I'd never known the difference.
And so I thought that was a little bit more interesting for me because, yes, on a personal level, psychology sounds fun and it's very interesting. But I thought it was a little bit more interesting to me to know why society moves the way that we move. Right. Why do we move in groups sometimes? Why do we sometimes not move in groups? And, you know... And so I thought, okay, this sounds more like it. And then after that, I thought sociology is it for me. And
what careers can you do in sociology?
You can do counseling, obviously with more requirements, more credentials and masters and things like that. But you can do counseling, you can do family therapy, you can do or be a family therapist, which is what I would like to do. I would like to be a family therapist. You can also be a social worker. You can be the CEO of an organization. You can be, I mean, I had a cousin that studied statistics in sociology. And that is something that pays very, very well because you're talking about, you know, a company hires you to do the statistics of his or her company. And, you as a sociologist, you go in there, you make a survey, you create the survey, you make everyone take it, and then you take down, okay, how many females do you have? How many males do you employ? How many, out of those, are they married? Are they single? Okay. You go into the whole infrastructure of the employees, and you give that to the
head honchos.
to the owner or whatever, and you tell them you need this or you need that. Especially now that people have quotas for how many females they need to hire and
diversity,
todo eso.
Right.
You really organizations really employ statistic people that would do that and let them know you're not hiring enough of this or you're not hiring enough of that or whatever. So that's a good career to undertake. That's a really good career. It's just a lot of numbers, and it's not like statistics in sociology are very different because we don't focus on the numbers as with other statistics. We focus on what those numbers mean. We focus more on the meaning of those numbers, and interpreting those numbers is hard. Because okay, sure, you're hiring a lot of women, but what does that mean for that company? Like, if, for example, is your company is your company targeted for women, and that's why you're hiring women or whatever? So that from what when I was in college, it was a really good career path.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's exciting, actually.
Yeah, because you can get jobs at like government levels. Where the government hires you to, for example, the census comes and it's like, okay, what is our population for this? What is our population for that? And or even organizations, they need to, and I feel now more than ever, social sciences have skyrocketed because they try to explain to you, why are you poor? They're trying to explain to you, oh, you're poor because you come from immigrant families. You're poor because you come from this or that. Or in other cases,
there's a McDonald's in your neighborhood.
There's a McDonald's in your neighborhood, and you're from a single parent home, and your mom, you're not just a single parent home, but it's a mom, it's your mom, it's female. Right. So a lot of those are things that are trying to explain this infrastructure of society, and they need people that do statistics and that can explain those statistics to you. So now more than ever, because we're in that like progressive mentality.
Yeah.
Oh, those people are pretty sure are earning money because, you sometimes just give the person what they want to know. Yeah,
that's interesting. Oh my God! Sociology was always confusing to me, the difference between psychology.
But I always wanted to work with people. Well,
which is kind of consistent with what you were saying as far as like being a doctor. You still wanted to work with people. You wanted to save lives, and now you're more into I still want connections, but hopefully and still in therapy, still helping. So that's still fairly consistent with
at first I thought I was only going to be a social worker, but then I did my service for the children's court, and I thought, oh no, I can't be a social worker because I feel like what scared me of being a social worker was the fact that I saw a lot of social workers that started to see the cases as numbers, and they stopped seeing them as people. And
because you have to become numb to it.
Exactly. At some point you have to be objective. You have to be and I'm not blaming the social workers. It's the system. They put a lot of work on them, and it's bound to happen where you're so loaded with work, you just want to get it out.
Yeah.
And you don't see them anymore as people, and it's very, very hard to to keep that compassion and really stay with it when you have 10 cases of like 5 children each, and you need to make sure each child is getting all their needs met. Mm-hmm. And then something happens, and so it's very, very difficult. And then I thought, por favor, because when I was doing my service, the case of the Hernandez child. You know, there's a documentary on I think it's Hernandez. There's a documentary on Netflix about it, but that case was very interesting because mom killed the baby, and I heard, I mean, they fired a lot of people after that. They fired a lot of social workers that would go in the home and say, "Oh, everything seems okay," and then the child was dead in like, you know, a month or maybe less.
Wow.
And so that traumatized me. I was like, oh my God, no. I would not be able to live with myself if I were to go into a home and just because I'm so packed with work, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, mom seems to be responsive. This, and that. And the baby seems to be okay. And dad seems to be whatever. And I don't even know I think he was the boyfriend because it was a
couple.
It was a couple. And
they killed the baby like directly or through just lack of like negligence?
It was negligence, but no, she kicked him and until it was abuse. It was child abuse. And then I believe he also would hit the child, but I think that time it was mostly her.
And so these are obviously things that, yes, a social worker could have identified.
Exactly. Okay, and so when I saw that, I'm like, oh, no, John, I can't. I have yet to watch the documentary. I'm pretty sure it's more in depth. I only knew about it because it was what I was studying and the classes, you know, that's all we heard during that time. We heard that people, I had a professor that really emphasized when you go, you really need to look out for the small details.
Right.
Like don't just focus on how happy mom looks or how happy the child might look. You need to remember that this type of children, when they're abused, when mom shows them a little bit of love, they'll be happy because the child wants to attach to mom. And so they see that and they're like, oh yes, you know, you need to remember that. You need to look for other stuff. And unfortunately, you know, when that happened, I thought, oh my God, yo no podría vivir con eso in my conscience.
Yeah.
And so dije, okay. So I started getting discouraged by that. And then I had my last year when I was doing my service, that I was also very, very discouraged every time. I had a professor that one of my classmates asked her, out of the many cases you've seen as a social worker, how many would you say were successful stories? Mm-hmm. And she said 1. And she had been working 30 plus years in the system. And I thought, oh my God, that scared me.
Yeah.
That really scared me. And I think a combination of all of that disappointment were the reasons why I said, you know what, I'm on my last year. I'm going to graduate, but that's not where I'm going. I don't want that. I don't want to become a social worker. I was scared to become heartless.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I was scared to become so detached from people's cases and people's situations and children's situations that I wouldn't care, because I saw that a lot. And again, it's not to blame them. It's understandable. They're so, especially in LA. Here in Ventura, I think we do much better with social work. But in LA, it's a big city, you know? And so the system, it's a little bit more, like it almost feels like it's not there to really help. Mm-hmm. So it was a combination of all that. And I thought, no. So right now, I think I want to be.
That's your dream.
My dream is to become I would like to be a family therapist, where I can tell mom, you shouldn't be doing that, or or to a child, hey, you should pay more attention. You should be more understanding, or whatever.
I feel that given your fear of, I don't want to become heartless, I don't want to become numb, is you have enough awareness of it that you wouldn't, like, you could be in a setting and still have compassion for someone and still potentially be able to help someone, because you're so conscious of, I don't want to just.
I think my fear, it was more of like long term. My fear was more like, okay, at the beginning, I feel confident that I'll do my best and I'll give my best 100%. For me, it was the burnout. For me, it was like, what about in 5 years? What about do I see myself doing that for 10 years?
Yeah.
30 years, like my professor? And and the more I thought the more I added numbers, the more scared I got, the more discouraged I got, and I thought, I don't see myself doing that. Or if I do, I see myself detaching. As much as I wouldn't want to, as much as I would want to stay with that, I saw myself detaching. And then back then, my relationship with God isn't what it is now. I feel like now maybe I would feel more more open to the idea, because I feel like right now I have a good outlet of like, I'm gonna pray.
Right.
I'm gonna leave it in God's hands, right. and pray over me, pray over the family and everything. But back then, because I wasn't really, my relationship wasn't good with Christ. I feel like a lot of that I just took it upon myself. Right. I was like, am I good enough? Am I ready? And the answer was always no. And so now it'd be different, because now it's like, I'm not good enough, but He is. Or I'm not ready, but I know He'll make me ready. Or if I'm scared of losing that compassion and losing that humanity factor, hey, God, help me and make me human. Make me more compassionate and more understanding. So now I feel like I'd be more open than before.
Right.
Right out of college, I thought, no, this isn't for me. Like, I'm just gonna finish it because this is literally my last semester. Mm-hmm. But no.
It seems to me that you've been very you've been very committed to what you want to do. Whereas I feel like for me, it was never consistent. Right. Like for me growing up, like I'm hearing you and you're like, from childhood until sophomore year, you had one dream, and that was to be a doctor. From childhood to sophomore year for me, I think I had 10 dreams. But some of the big ones for me were like, I wanted to be a fashion designer at some point when I was like 8 or 9. That was for sure. Like I don't even know why, because I don't think I had fashion sense when I was a child. If there's any photos that I ever post up, it was bad. I was in a cheetah girl phase, and it was bad. I wanted to be a lawyer in middle school, because that's when Legally Blonde came out, and that was my inspiration for, oh yeah, I could be a lawyer. And when I got to high school, it kind of shifted. I was like, oh, I could be a teacher, because I really enjoyed some of the teachers that I had, and I thought their jobs were really fun. But again, very kind of, not very consistent with what I wanted to do. For me, what I could say is what drove me to wanting those positions was, am I having fun? Like at the time when I wanted to be a fashion designer, it's like, oh, I could see myself being creative and having fun and having my shop and, designing, and then with teachers, like I could be a really fun teacher and inspire my students. And then with being a lawyer, like I could have really good cases and help people and, again, but for me, it was more of like my enjoyment and what I got out of the career and the dream, as opposed to what I could contribute to society. And then when I graduated, I really didn't have a goal. I was one of those students that
graduated high school?
High school.
Okay.
When I graduated high school, I did not have a path that I could say, I'm going to go for this, as a lot of my friends at the time did. Literally, out of all of us and in our friends group, pretty much me and maybe 3 others, we were like 10. They all went to really, really big schools like UCLA and UCSB and Irvine and like very, very big schools. I'm not saying that high school wasn't big. I'm just saying like they were very like, I know what I want to be, microbiologist. I want to be an engineer. I want to be, all of this. And so, going to university, I started off with general ed, and I took a psychology course. I actually, because they ask you what you're going to go for, and I chose psychology. I chose psychology because I thought, I think I could do therapy. I think I very foolishly, I thought, well, my friends come to me for advice and they ask me what I think, about this. I'm good at giving advice. helping people and listening, you know, which I feel like a lot of people think that that's the main correlation with psychology, you know, and therapy. They're like, well, as long as you're a good listener, that's all that matters, you know? And it's like, yeah, that's a part of it, but like, can you actually, you know, help someone is the main thing. And do you have the tools to do it? So, you know, I signed up for the psychology department. I started taking classes, and same thing. I feel like Psychology 101 for me was really exciting. I loved learning about the mind and the documentaries we were watching and everything. And then, but they had us like fulfill certain required seminars where they would bring out psychiatrists and therapists to come and talk to us about what they're doing in their field. And unlike, you know, Lula in a very, you know, I would say like, wow, that's a legitimate reason to walk away from that particular path. The guy that was up there was pretty much saying, out of all of you that are here, which I think we were like 200 psychology majors, or that we were striving to be majors in psychology, he said, maybe 20% of you will be successful. Oh. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's just like, some of you will end up being school counselors, will end up, you know, doing, you know, very small, you know, practices, nothing in the field of psychiatry where you can medicate and you can really help people, you know, maybe some form of family therapy or marriage therapy, but it's very slim. It's very slim. And he was this big, you know, scary, tall man. And I'm looking at him like he was the chair of our psychology department. And he was like, and I'll say it for this. He said, a lot of you guys are here because Psychology 101 was fun. And I was one of those. He's like, you like how the mind works? And, you know, he's like talking to us and he's just like, but do you like how people work? Oh. You know? And I had never considered that. To be on this, like, I'm being really honest, I never thought about people. I never thought, again, I thought, how can I enjoy this? How can I have the most fun in this? And he says, you're going to have to do a lot of dissertations. You're going to have to do a lot of research. You're going to have to do a lot of reading. That's just one aspect of your career. But then you're going to have to deal with individuals that are not the best clients. You're not going to deal with, and he said this, you're not going to deal with the couple that is getting a divorce and you think that their issues can be solved by adding more affection and more communication. You're going to be dealing with people who are criminals, people who are mentally ill, and people who may not even want your help and are there because they're required to take your, you know, your program. Yeah. And I was like, and he's like, so you're not going to like every client. And when I started to think about that, and I really started like, do I have, like, can I see myself enjoying clients that I won't like? Because again, very similarly, I'm thinking, oh, this person just needs to be heard. This person just wants advice, you know, whatever. When he started to put it like that, I was like, I'm out. Wow. And I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. I like people. I care for people, but I care for my people. And so I can listen to my people. You know, I can have the mental capacity for that. But I don't know that I had that heart, you know, for the stranger that I don't know and that really needs help. And then, you know, I feel like when it came to mental illness, I was very ignorant, very, very ignorant, because I feel like sometimes in the church, we always view it as, you know, they are struggling with some kind of stronghold. And that just needs to be prayed away. Whereas in psychology or psychiatry, you need to really help someone through something, a condition that they may have and may struggle with for the rest of their lives. And so because of that ignorance, it was also like, so then their schizophrenia wouldn't leave with just prayer, you know? And I'm not saying that that can't happen. I'm just saying that there are individuals who have certain illnesses
Right,
that
yeah.
they combat with for the rest of their lives. And yet again, it was a lot of like, okay. So I changed my major to undecided. I had spent 2 years of my college career in psychology.
Wow.
That's why it took me 6 years to finish my university. And so now I'm undecided. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm supposed to finish in 4 years. I can't because I'm supposed to complete. And I didn't want to complete something just because I started it. I wanted to be like, I need to find something that I can see myself doing and enjoy. And so I had, for general ed, had to take economics. And I really loved it. I really, really loved. I loved my professor. He was amazing. His way of teaching was flipped. So he would have us do homework in class, and we would have to do the lecture at home. This was before COVID. This is before online classes. He recorded his lecture, and you would have to watch it at home. So you were forced to watch the class in order for you to do your homework the next day, because everyone would do it together. So it was a really weird way, but I enjoyed it. And I liked just the world of finances. And even though I don't think I am like a math genius by any means, it was something that I genuinely, don't judge me. I'm one of those people, those statistics. I thought, this will get me a job. I don't need it to be my dream. I don't need it to be something that I feel necessarily fulfilled in. I just need something that can get me a job because of what my real dream was, which my real dream was marriage. That was my dream. I wanted to be married, and eventually I want to have kids. And so as long as I can find a job that can pay the bills, I can really focus my attention on what I feel matters most. And so I went into business. That was my major. And I thought, yeah, you can get, you can be doing finances for the county, finances for a school, finances for anything. And yeah, sure enough, like, I do finances, and I'm not saying that my job isn't fun. My job is fun. I do enjoy it. But I think what I enjoy most of it's repetitiveness. I enjoy that there isn't a lot of surprises. I enjoy that it's routine. Because, again, it's not my passion, and I'm sorry to my boss if he's watching, like, it's not. Because I think for me, like, again, like, my marriage was really what I wanted. I wanted that more than anything, and a family. And so right now, it's interesting because as far as, like, my dreams, it's a lot of things, like, I enjoy teaching, but I don't want to be a teacher. But I enjoy teaching in an area that I'm learning, like, about the Bible and giving a class. I enjoy that. I enjoy music. I'm currently learning again, and I enjoy that. And I enjoy singing. That's something that I love. And then one of the things that I did like in the past that I participated in was, like, conferences. I gave a conference once. Was very, like, exciting to me, putting together my study and my slides, and just in general, like, I enjoy public speaking. I always have. But again, like, that is something that I don't think is necessarily, like, a big dream. Like, I strive to be a conferencist, or I strive to be any of that. I think for me, my dream is whatever I'm doing that, like, again, I feel like that's maybe, like, selfish, but, like, I'm enjoying it. No. So, like, so for example, like, right now we're going to be doing the Christmas shop. I feel like I'm fulfilling my dreams, like, I enjoy organizing the event. I enjoy working with volunteers. I enjoy being able to help the community, and then still being a part of the church and still doing something that's ministry related. That I feel fulfilled in that, just as much as I feel fulfilled in hosting a Thanksgiving dinner with my family and my friends. Like, that is something that I enjoy. So I don't have a major, I guess, like, calling in that sense that I feel like I'm fulfilling that. But I think my calling is in whatever that I'm doing, am I being positive? Am I trying to help in some way? Am I enjoying it? Am I being the best that I can be in that area? I think I'm set. And that's
I think that's good. I mean I feel like a lot of the way I approached school was more of the opposite. The way I approached it was more of like, hey, I don't have to like it all the time. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And but I think that there's more value to doing something when you like it, you enjoy it, because then it doesn't feel like a job. It feels more like, and you really genuinely can give your best. You know, I mean, if we go back to what I was saying, part of why I didn't go for whatever areas I should have gone for was because I didn't see myself enjoying it.
Right.
You know, and I was like, no. Okay, I might do things that I might not like, and that's my motto. You know, you're not always gonna like something, but that doesn't mean I'm going to, in a way, be stuck in a job that I really from the get go know I'm not going to enjoy.
Right.
So I think there's more power to you to have him to think, hey, am I going to enjoy it? And and I think that's good. I think a lot of lately I feel like we've been putting so much pressure on people to have big dreams, to dream
careers,
big.
I would even say.
Yeah,
the Ivy League schools, you know, which I think that there's like, wow, it's amazing. You got into Harvard, you got into Columbia, all these great schools, but it's so often that we see people put a lot of time and effort into school, and then they don't end up in a position that they really enjoy, but that they even want to be in, you know? It's all that they can do, you know? And I think for me, because I never had big school dreams, that was just me growing up. I was never, ever the straight A student, ever. I think once in elementary, I think I had all the right numbers, but I was always BC the entire time. School was not easy for me. I was not that student that, you know, you heard it once and you learned. Like my best was sometimes a C or a B. And because of that, I always knew I'm not going to be that student that strives for the best career and all of that. I found value in other things because it was also what was in my home. Like my siblings, you know, they're amazing women, but very similarly, their careers weren't everything. They weren't like, this is what I want. All of them were very like family, children, marriage. My mom, same thing. My mom wasn't a very, I wouldn't say driven, but career-driven woman. She was like, for her was like, I want to be with my kids. I want to be with my family. I want to go to church. And that's my life's goal. And I feel like I fell into the same thing, and I'm not regretful. It's more of just like, I ended up doing the same thing, and I'm in a very happy place.
Yeah. So. I think that's very interesting because like we come from different backgrounds and takes on your career, and we still arrived at the same place. No, because sorry, it's candy from my throat. For me, school was the opposite because I was so good at it. I had to go to college. Like I had to go to university. Like it wouldn't to my mom and to me, it didn't make sense for me to think there's nothing after high school.
Right.
You know, not to cast, but I was a 4.0 student.
No, yeah.
You know, 3 years of high school, I was 4.0 student. I mean, that was all I felt confident in back in high school. I'm a good student. I'm the best. And so for me, it was like, because I'm good at what I do, makes no sense to not do it.
College,
I had to not go to college, to not go to university. And so for me, it was more of like, there's nothing else for me to do but to continue studying. And I think I approached school a lot in that sense of like, is this or work. I can't do both.
Yeah.
And and I didn't see myself working in a packing house or whatever, which that was available to me back then. Only that. Because back then, I mean, I'm talking to you 2012, 2012. There was, for a lot of things, they needed a college degree or a bachelor's. I think right now times are changing.
Yeah.
And they require a lot more. But back then it was like, no. And there it was a lot of pressure of like, no, you need a bachelor's. You need a bachelor's. You need to do this. You need to go to college, blah, 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 blah. And I feel like we still have that.
Yeah.
But I think that nowadays
expectations are higher.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
What's your experience?
Yeah.
I have none. I just got out of university.
Yeah. And that was my whole problem when I got out of university. It was like, I have no experience in nothing because all I did was studying. All I did was trying to get, my degree. And then you apply and then they require you to have the credentials and the experience. And it's like, you can't have both, or at least I can't offer both. And so, yeah, that's why you end up working in jobs that you didn't, I mean, I worked for the Boys and Girls Club when I got out of
TJ Maxx,
when I got out of college, and so it was just it was depressing. It was a depressing time because it was like my diploma is just sitting there. And but I didn't see myself going for a master's either.
Right.
Because at that point I was like, yes, I'm good, but I'm fed up. I'm fed up with classes. I'm fed up with...
But you would go back to school.
I would go.
I have sworn off school. I have dreams. I kid you not. I tell you that I had my anxiety dream again. I literally call it my anxiety dream. It's a recurring theme. I am in a classroom, usually finances. That was the actual class. And I go in and everyone's like taking papers out of their backpacks or something. And I'm kind of looking around and they're like, we have an exam today. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, where's your half sheet or your full age of notes that you were allowed to take so you could be prepared for the test, and you have to have your formulas and blah, blah, blah. And I'm in the front. I'm always in the front seat with nothing but a pencil. And I'm just like, no, I didn't even know. I thought it was supposed to be like 3 weeks from now. And they're like, no, it's today. Or that's the one recurring theme. Or I show up to a class that I haven't been at for the past month, and I'm like, I'm not gonna graduate. I didn't go to class for this past month. Yeah. And oh my God, like, I've already missed 3 assignments that are worth half of my grade. Yeah. Like, there's nothing I can do. I'm not gonna graduate. Those 2 dreams come back when I'm stressed, when I'm really worried about something. Thankfully, it hasn't happened in a while. And I always tell Lula, I'm like, I had my anxiety school dream again. Like, it's for that reason. Because those things actually happened to me. I almost didn't graduate. And there was a situation where I did go to the class and I completely forgot about the midterm because I was so focused on another class. I didn't take my half sheet and I flunked that class. Like, literally, it was terrible. So it's that like, I don't know if you guys have ever known, but I graduated per se. I walked the line. I walked the line, and then I still had to finish a class. You have no idea. There's a video where I have a family video that I made of my graduation party. And I'm with my parents, and they're saying very nice things about, mi hija ya terminó su educación, and people came from church and family and friends to celebrate this accomplishment. And pastor's praying over me in that video, and he's just like, you're gonna do great things in Kez, and she finished her schooling, and all that I'm thinking of, like, yeah, but I gotta go back to the semester and finish it for 4 or 5 months and finish it. And I'm here having this party, and I feel like a fraud because I had to finish my capstone. That's why I say that dream comes back, because I was supposed to graduate. If I passed capstone, I could walk the line and actually graduate. But I didn't pass capstone, and so I walked the line, and I had to take it in the summer, and it was horrible. But I would never go back to school,
Every once in a while I miss it. Yes, every once in a while I miss it.
But when you say miss it, do you mean like, oh, getting your notebook together and your pens and your backpack and all of that? Or you miss the class?
I miss the work.
You miss the work?
I miss the work.
Jeez.
I miss reading interesting things. I miss.
Well, you do love learning.
Yeah, I miss working on a paper that I was based off my opinion about what I read. And I don't miss making summaries of any. No, I don't. I miss giving my 2 cents
Your 2
in
cents
something.
about
Yeah, I miss that. I miss. I miss just projects in general, but I don't miss the deadlines. I don't miss the pressure of having to turn in something or feeling like if I don't do it, there are going to be huge repercussions. Right. I don't miss that. So that's why even though I would go back to school, I don't think I would enjoy it. Like I The
only thing I miss from my university are the spots where I would eat or write or read. And then I do miss doing math in this sense. When I was doing calculus, I enjoyed my full page of working out the problem. That feeling of like I got to the right answer, specifically in math, not in other departments. I loved that feeling.
Right.
But as much as I enjoyed it, I wasn't math savvy. Because it was so hard for me to get to.
It was rewarding.
I enjoyed that feeling, that rewarding feeling of I got to the right answer. So because I never got to the 2 cents, I was always like, as long as I pass the class and I get the right answer, that was the best. But I do see your point as far as like, had I been maybe more vocal in class and could convey an opinion that was articulate enough for other people to be like, I didn't think about it that way, I would probably have enjoyed that too.
So, but right now my dreams are very different. I think right now my dreams are geared towards, am I enjoying it? And am I bringing help to other people? And not just help because I want to feel helpful, but help because I want to see that person heal or that person grow or whatever. So I think because of that, that's why I'm still dancing with the idea of, should I go back to college or should I go back for my master's to become a therapist, a family therapist? But
which I can see. I can honestly see. You've been back and forth on this all year.
Yeah. All 2 years. Should I not? Should I? Y luego está bien caro.
Eso sí.
If I'm being honest, está bien caro. And then I see people doing their masters and really working hard. And hey, they're getting the reward. They're reaping what they sowed and everything. Pero I'm not sure if I want to do that. I'm not sure if I want to sacrifice 4 years of my life and then realize that yes, it's good and I can do so much more, but I lost 4 years of my life. I lost 4 years, 4 precious years that I could have done something that sure no me va a llevar acá, like, oh my goodness, I'm landing a job where I'm getting paid $40. But I could have. I feel like I can have a rewarding life without going back to college. If I'm being honest, I feel like I can live out my dreams of helping others without going back for my master's, without losing 4 precious years of my life.
And that's the unfortunate aspect about school, that it really is a commitment. It's like a job.
Yeah,
you really have to invest all of your time and your energy in it, and it's hard to do other things and give it your 100% when you are so devoted to not just finishing school, but finishing school on a high note.
Right, yeah.
Because a lot of people can finish school and, kind of be in, you were a good student, but to be great, to be very successful in that sense, I think it takes a lot more effort. But as we, start to close, please let us know, viewers. I just realized we don't have a name for our viewers. You know how YouTubers or YouTube channels, like they have like a certain name for their audience.
Like
you guys
for Justin
come up
Bieber,
with
Believers?
it, yeah, right. Hear me outers. I don't know. Like you guys figure that out. But drop on the comments. Let us know. What is something that you had as a dream as a kid, and something that you're currently working on, or maybe you've already achieved it. Maybe you're living out your dream. Let us know.
Yeah.
And catch us out on the next episode.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.